And hello, welcome to Open, the show that's opening the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, New York City. Coming up, we'll explore how FreshDirect pays tribute to the significant contributions of the African American community, celebrating their influence on the vibrant New York food scene throughout the entire year. And then later on, we'll take a look into the work of a not-for-profit organization devoted to bringing about positive systemic change and how teens and young people are handled in New York City's criminal legal system. And we'll also shed light on a not-for-profit arts organization that is bringing award-winning dance and music programs to thousands of children globally. And then we'll explore a film festival, serving as a distinctive platform for showcasing African diaspora artistic styles, as well as craft through film. And then finally, learn about an organization facilitating the connection of businesses to resources and offering direct access to capital, strengthening and expanding their existing businesses. So we want you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on throughout the course of the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. And we kick off with health news. After 3 years, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is set to revise its COVID-19 isolation guidelines. Presently, the CDC recommends a 5-day isolation for all, regardless of vaccination status. The upcoming changes propose that once an individual has been fever-free for 24 hours and shows mild or improving symptoms, isolation no longer necessary. These new CDC recommendations aim to align more closely with guidelines for the flu and the RSV. The development coincides with the 10% decrease in COVID-19 related hospital admissions and a 6% decline in deaths across the United States last week. All right, in other news, New York City has implemented a curfew for certain migrants from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Shelters managed by the New York City's Housing Preservation Development will observe the curfew. The decision follows 2 instances of violence in Times Square involving migrants, including a shooting that injured a tourist and endangered an NYPD officer. A City Hall spokesperson stated, this change aims to enhance the safety of asylum seekers and residents in the shelter vicinity. Well, that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We got more open when we return. And welcome back. This Black History Month, FreshDirect is shining a spotlight on several local Black-owned businesses. Now, food is a crucial part of the celebration's heritage and connects us to these businesses, building upon a legacy and contributing to a more sustainable, inclusive, and just future. And joining me now to share a little bit more is this Senior Associate Category Manager of Dairy at FreshDirect, Lone Heilner. And Lone, glad to have you.
Morning, Daren, and happy Black History Month. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. Welcome back. As we talk about Black History Month at FreshDirect, I know that, as the calendar year goes on, FreshDirect does a variety of different things. But when it comes to Black History Month, I know there's a lot of intention that's actually placed out there.
Yes, exactly. And as you know, Black History Month really serves as a special moment to amplify those stories of Black entrepreneurs and the many contributions they've made to the culinary landscape of our community. And you think about something like the refrigerated truck, very similar to the trucks FreshDirect uses to deliver the freshest groceries to our customers, or something like a crowd favorite like an ice cream scoop. Both of these things were invented by Black Americans, and I think that's something not many people know.
Yeah, so for you, talk to us about the inside, take us inside. When we look at FreshDirect really getting ready to roll out for Black History Month, how long did it take you to really come up with the, with the products and the people that you were going to highlight?
Of course, and these are the products and brands that we carry all year round, not just in February, but we really use the opportunity of Black History Month to make sure we're communicating these great stories and sharing a little bit more about the founders behind these brands with our customers. So all month long, you'll see some really fantastic content on our website and our platform. On our homepage, we'll be featuring a roundup of great Black-owned brands. We actually also have a dedicated landing page for Black History Month where you'll see each of these spotlights as well. And it's a great chance for the customer to discover something new and support a local Black-owned business.
Well, you got your all-star team of people that you want to highlight, and I want to go through the list a little bit of some of the people and tell us what we can know about them. First, let's start off with Partake.
Yes, so Partake Cookies. That's a great way that the founder, Denise Woodward, has brought allergen-free snacking available to all people and really come out of inspiration for some of the dietary requirements of her daughter. And so all of her snacks are completely allergen-free. We've got some classics like chocolate chip, or if you're like me and a big ginger fan, the ginger snaps are incredible as well.
Yeah. Beans are a popular favorite for a lot of people, and I know we've got a very special, a very special dozen cousins who are actually representing beans.
Yes, Dozen Cousins are really bringing some beautifully simmered, globally inspired flavors to your home kitchen. If you're looking for, a quick, easy meal, they've got these ready-to-heat beans and also some rices, and so really whipping up a delicious meal in just a matter of minutes.
And we got Spoonful. So what can you tell us about Spoonful?
Spoonful is one of our great local businesses here based out of Brooklyn, here in New York City. They're creating very clean label, natural, unpasteurized overnight oats. And overnight oats has been a big trend that I'm seeing this year in the category. And so whether it's breakfast, a post-workout snack, or just a midday afternoon pick-me-up, really delicious.
Yeah. And the Don Carvajal Cafe.
Yes, Don Carvajal is actually based right here in both of our home backyards here in the Bronx. And so they are really committed to bringing fair trade, direct source coffee to the consumer out there. And so a really big emphasis, they partner with a lot of farms in Central and South America, and a great way to bring ethically sourced coffee to your morning cup.
Yeah. And then we've got the McBride sisters, and we want to make sure we touch base about them.
Of course, yes. The McBride sisters is one of our favorites here at FreshDirect. It's a sister duo. They've created the largest Black-owned winery here in the United States, and one of the particularly special items I want to call out is called Black Girl Magic. It's a sparkling brut, a really nice effervescent flavors of kind of a combination of really aromatic fruit, but also some tart bubbles. And it was created to celebrate the culture of the founders. And it's something that can be enjoyed by all.
Yeah. And if you're snacking, I know that there's people who are, it's that time of year, look, snacks are at an all-time high and during the winter season. But talk to me a little bit about Pipcorn Snacks.
Of course, Pipcorn has a fantastic variety of snacks, whether it's popcorn, some savory kind of twists or crunchy bites or puffs. They have a whole variety of products that we offer on FreshDirect, and another great Black-owned brand.
The honey pot is also on the list, and I want to get your take on the honey pot, as I know that one woman's need really met a whole generation.
Yes, and I think really exciting to be able to highlight Honey Pot. As most people might not be aware, FreshDirect here, we are a full-service grocery store, and so the Honey Pot is bringing some really nice all-natural products into the personal care category here. And so if you think even beyond contributions to the food landscape, Honey Pot is a great way to support a Black-owned brand and also try out some all-natural products for your home as well.
Well, Lorna, I don't want to leave out Story Coffee. Everybody likes coffee, and Story Coffee's out there.
Of course, if you're like me and you can't go a morning without your cup of coffee, Story is definitely one I would highly recommend. It's amazing story behind the brand. It's actually founded by a Rwandan gentleman who was really, his family was impacted by the Rwandan genocide, and he's been able to claim back the Rwandan culture and really empower his local community by partnering with those coffee farms back home.
When you hear these stories, I mean, there's a background to just having a product. There's some amazing stories out here. How do you go about capturing this information?
That's a great question. I think it's one of our biggest advantages being an online retailer is we're so fortunate to have that real estate on our site, whether it's our website, our blog, or our app, to be able to really tell these rich stories of the founders behind all of these household products.
And how much does that really make a difference in the eyes of sometimes the consumer? Because if I'm not really so familiar with the product, knowing a little bit about the backstory, how much of a difference does that make?
It makes a world of a difference. If you think about a consumer who's in a brick and mortar grocery store and they kind of walk down the aisle, and whether it's the packaging or something, a tag on the shelf really catches their eye, that's very similar to what we try to achieve with our online platform. So whether it's a customer first coming to freshdirect.com and seeing a story about one of these great brands right front and center on the homepage, if there's a little bit we can do just to aid that discovery and the consumer finding something brand new that they can fall in love with, it goes a long way.
All right. Well, Lone, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much. I mean, some great products I think our viewers will definitely have an opportunity to check out and see some things that could actually, help them out during the winter season if they're out there shopping. So, Lone Heilner, thank you so much for being with us.
Of course, always a pleasure. Thank you, Daren.
All right, good to see you. Now, listen, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website, freshdirect.com, and then also follow them on FreshDirect, I should say on social media at FreshDirect. We encourage you, please don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up. We're coming back right after this.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kat from the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, also from The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray every week right here at BronxNet, Saturdays at 11 p.m. Wow, 30 years. 30 years of BronxNet public access television. I'm a girl from Brooklyn and came to the Bronx 25 years ago, started my journey on BronxNet on public access television in 2016, and BronxNet is where I got my start. BronxNet, I feel like, is a home away from home. They support all of my endeavors, and I wouldn't have been able to be on any of the other channels if it wasn't for the fundamentals that I learned right here at my start here at BronxNet. So I am so appreciative. My son says I should stop telling people I'm from Brooklyn because I've been here now, Bronx strong, for 22 years. So I'm so grateful, and I wish you much success in 30 years, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30 more, because public access is necessary so that people like myself can have a voice. Yes, BronxNet, it's your girl Kat from Kitty Rose. Check me out every Saturday at 11 p.m. right here, Channel 68, The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. Mwah.
And we are back. Young New Yorkers is a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated positively to transforming teens and how their teens' lives and young individuals can encounter the legal system, and I should say the criminal legal system in New York City. Now, over the past decade, they've successfully diverted more than 1,400 young people from incarceration as well as other penalties. Joining me now is the Executive Director of Young New Yorkers, Bobbie L.A. Brown. And Bobbie, good to have you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning. You know, we always talk about that school to prison pipeline.
Yeah.
We know that that's really real. But then to have something that's actually out there and available to give young people an opportunity, you guys are really capturing that and doing that. Talk to us about the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having us. So Young New Yorkers is an art-based nonprofit that provides diversion opportunities to young folks who are charged with an eligible misdemeanor or felony. And this is across all 5 boroughs. And so what we do is that we center the power of art, right? We understand that the process of an arrest is also very traumatic for young people, or anybody really, right? That coupled with a charge, coupled with the fear of the unknown. So we know the power of art. We've seen the power of that be translated through multiple generations and multiple capacities. So we center that, and we have our young people immerse themselves in various mediums, from sculpturing to contemporary painting to oral storytelling. And what we get them to understand is, who are you in this space, right? How do you want to define yourself outside of the narrative that's created for you, outside of the system that's already been put in place on you? How do you craft yourself beyond this tribulation, beyond this arrest? Because that's not how you're defined. And so we use that art because it's so fluid, it's so subjective, it's so accessible, because art is New York and New York is art. And so because of that, we've helped young people really be able to not just continue an artistic practice, but understand the therapeutic aspects that come with it.
So if a young person's arrested, let's walk through it. Go to the court system, right? Here's the chance for you to redeem yourself. We're going to put you in a program, actually, that gives you an opportunity. They come to you. They come through your doors.
Yes.
Talk to me about the receptivity on the other end from them. Because, you know, when you have that charge, you talk a lot about the trauma. There is trauma associated with when a person comes through with arrest. How are you navigating that trauma to be able to say, listen, I got something for you. This might be bad, but this could be better?
All various ways. There's no one approach because they're not cookie cutters, right? New Yorkers are so dynamic, and our young people are so dynamic. But what we do is tone setting, right? We help them create what kind of space would be preferable for you, right? So we ask a lot of questions about the space that they want to center themselves in for that 3-hour session that they're with us for, right? They're also in groups of young people who are similarly situated, so they're not by themselves. Our teachers are brilliant artists, right? So as soon as they walk into the room, they're met with that energy, right? They met with that vibe of welcomeness. There's no structure, there's no strictness. It's sit down and let's unpack, right? With the flow and this mediation type of approach to it. And I think that has really kind of set the tone for why we've been successful. That coupled with the fact that when our young folks come to us, young people are bright, so they see how you're engaging with them and they become open. And they are able to share a lot of the issues that got them connected to their arrest and why they're either surrounded by young people who are getting them to make those type of decisions, or how their environment is influencing towards those decisions.
In order to have a diversion program, you first have to get buy-in, right? You have to get buy-in from the powers that be. I mean, these judges, courts, lawyers, and that sort. What do you think makes the difference for them to say, hey, we can actually create this and okay this for young people to be able to come under your supervision because we believe in you?
Realism, right? The fact of the matter is we prosecute communities of color anyway, whether that's through the legal system or whether that's through disinvestment in social services, right? So at some part, we had to figure out some balance, right? And so when you look at the rate of incarceration for Black and brown people, and you look at the types of charges that Black and brown folks are being incarcerated for, and then you look at the young folks and look at the types of charges that they are committing, where are we getting with over-incarcerating? What are we getting with putting them in jail over and over from the age of 12 to 13 to 15 and 16? Because that's the age that we're working with. So I think the criminal justice community, myself being an attorney working in that space as well, right, recognizes that this disproportionate response to low-level offenses are not getting us where we need to, right? It's creating constituency for next generations who are going to be discombobulated with the system. So I think there is a realism or a respect to us being more nurtured-focused, us realizing our young people are just that, young, right? And they have the space to make mistakes. They deserve to make mistakes, and it's our responsibility, whether we are legally connected, to bring them up.
We know that what the possibilities are, right? If a young person's charges do go through, that stays on their record, right? But then if they go to your program, they have the opportunity to have possibly a case dismissed and also sealed.
Yes.
Let's talk about that impact, because that's huge.
Yeah, I think that's pretty, I think that's one of the areas that always gets me choked up, right? The idea of myself being just as involved, right? Having had a record, having had to move through that at my young age and not had the opportunity to have a diversion program, right? For our young people, they can dream, right? They can see beyond tomorrow. They can think like, I made a mistake, my environment's going to support me, and I can go forward and actually being a participating constituency here. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the graduate leadership program here.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Because it's about continuous long-term engagement, right? It's about showing up. And that's why we created a graduate program. That's why we continue to have opportunities. So our young folks who graduate from our programs, any of our programs, can continue to come back to Young New Yorkers and engage in art, employment, stay connected, and what have you, and be paid $20 to $22 per hour for their involvement as well.
Well, we're not going to turn down the money. Right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. When we talk about the opportunity to really connect with people, I think that talk to me a little bit about and share with me a little bit about that power, right? Knowing somebody who's probably been through the system just like me, and now I've got somebody here working in this environment, or I'm a classmate with somebody. What kind of power does that give a young person seeing somebody's been there, done that, got a T-shirt, and still rocking with me?
It's what we say all the time. Representation matters, right? If I could see that you can come through it, then I definitely believe in myself, right? And I could see what you've done with the lemons that were given to you. You made more than just lemonade, right? You created a stand, you created food, you created a whole line out of it. And that type of inspiration our young people need to be given back over and over so they can pay it forward.
So who actually qualifies for the program? There's a parent out there watching right now. So listen, I may have a young person involved in the criminal justice system. Is this an opportunity? Is there an opportunity for me?
Yes, absolutely. So we have various programs, right? If your child is charged and they're between the ages of 12 to 25 with an eligible misdemeanor or felony, and they're through the DA's office, go to your DA's office and ask about diversion options, right? Ask if there's another alternative to an incarceration. If they're not in that, and if you feel that your child is just as aligned or in that type of behavior and you want to do more preventative, you can also refer them to Young New Yorkers, as we have preventative programs as well. And this is across all 5 boroughs from 12 to 25 years old.
The arts.
Yes.
You're using the arts really to reach young people. There's, in the school system, it's the first thing that gets cut out of the budget. Arts, music, sports, right?
Yeah.
How impactful for you? Give me your argument for why the arts should be sustainable, especially when we see proven results.
Because we've seen proven results is why it should be sustainable.
That's like the answer, right?
That's pretty much it, right? I mean, what justification do we have to remove it besides fiscal, right? There's no harm being caused with giving a child balance to dreaming beyond the structure of a 9 to 5 and being able to fill out just basic paperwork. What about the dreamers that created your Facebooks, your dreamers who created your Apples, your dreamers who created the idea of a Black History Month in the first place, right? That comes from being able to expand, to see yourself outside of one dimension, right? And so there's an impact that you have when you remove that from young people, especially those who are in trauma all the time. Where do they go for relief? Right? Where do they go for soothing? It removes them from that agency. So I think art gives them agency, right? It gives them access, where access will be cut off based off of very trivial reasons. So that's why I think that art is very powerful. We see it being used in incarceral settings, right? Marked in Time is a very interesting book, right? That delves into the power of art in carceral spaces and how folks who are incarcerated are using art to express themselves and tell their stories. And so if we're able to fund it in carceral settings, why would we take it outside of it?
Right. We talk a little bit about recidivism in our community, the fact of knowing that there's a possibility there's some young people that's going to make it back, right? When you look at your program, talk to me about the recidivism rate. And what are you seeing, by the way? Once a person leaves, pretty much are we finding that, listen, we've helped them to find their place and, they're good.
Yeah, it's hard to measure recidivism, right? Because you're looking at 6 months out, year out, 10 years out, right?
Right.
And then are they being rearrested for the same type of crime, right? Or is it something larger? And so all of those factors play into being able to measure what recidivism is. What I can say is that we have a 100% successful referral rate. So all the young people come to us and get in a program, they complete their program, right?
That's awesome.
And I think that's great. We also follow up with our young folks. So within the time period that I've been there, we haven't had young folks that have been referred to our program, completed our program, and then months later be rearrested, right? That we can count less than 2% of that, right? And a lot of that comes from us needing to, us and the industry itself, being able to give more than just one service, but go deeper into what is the issue that got you connected to this issue in the first place, right? And if we can get to that, then we can really start to unpack some of this recidivism issues we are seeing.
Put some context on this for me.
Yeah.
What about the young person that comes from the courthouse, right? They're coming from the courthouse, they've been arrested. Am I really an art person, or do you just introduce me to art and now I begin to find my flow?
We get that all the time. It's both, right? So no, you don't have to be an artist, but do you know if you're an artist or not? Right? Who tells you you're an artist? Right? No one tells you that, right? So we introduce, but a lot of times, and I wish I had some of the work here, is brilliant, right? The work that they're producing is gorgeous work, and it's not, I'm not being biased, but they don't know they have it in them, right? Because someone either told them they're not an artist, they didn't feel they weren't an artist. So we get away from those barriers. We give you a piece of paper, we give you some paint, we say, let's create, right? So for instance, we have based one of our last cycles off of The Danger of a Single Story, right? For Chimamanda Ngozi story. And that allows our young people to center themselves around the gossip, right? Understand who are you on the other side of things? What is your new narrative, right? Henry Taylor's on the B-side, right? At the Whitney Museum. We use him as an idea to help young people understand what is that new side to you, right? So I think it's the way that, one, you present the art, two, the medium you give them, and the flexibility to allow them to create without a rubric.
Well, you give us all the information we need to know.
Yes.
Now we know if there's somebody out there that can definitely get connected to you.
Yes.
I don't know if you can make me an artist, though. That's if you make me an artist.
Your glasses is giving artsy already, you know?
We rocking already.
Right?
Bobbie, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. No
All
problem.
right, listen, now, if you want more information, do me a favor. Visit the website. What's the website, Daren? YoungNewYorkers.org. We encourage you to go there. And we encourage you also don't go anywhere, because we got more open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Congratulations to BronxNet on its 30th anniversary. And I'm blessed that I was here shortly after the beginning of BronxNet. At that time, I took the field and studio classes, and I spent a lot of time helping other people have shows before I put my toe in the water and decided to have a show for myself. For those of you who are familiar with the Blackwash Televised Art Gallery, that was my first show on my own. And now I am pumping up La Finca del Sur, doing Eating Healthy with La Finca del Sur on BronxNet's Channel 70. And I appreciate everyone watching.
And we are back. National Dance Institute is a not-for-profit organization that's actually delivering some acclaimed dance and music programs globally. The organization is celebrating the 10th anniversary of the NDI Dream Project, which is an inclusive dance program promoting excellence in the arts as well as movement. Joining me now to discuss more is the National Dance Institute's artistic director. We've got Gayner, and then pediatric physical therapist, Dr. Agnes McConlogue, and I think I've got that right. And see, she's shaking. I'm doing good, right? Hey, thank y'all. You know, if this interview doesn't go well, I just need to know you made my day already. Thanks. How you doing?
Very well.
Thanks a lot.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. Kay, I'm gonna let you start off a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Well, we are the Dream Project. We at National Dance Institute, we believe that every child on the planet deserves a high quality arts education as part of their birthright. And DREAM is an extension of that. When we say all dancers, every child, we mean every child. So Agnes and I created a program called the DREAM Project, Dancers Realize Excellence Through Arts and Movement. And in the DREAM Project, we partner children with and without disabilities in a joyful program of dance with live music, performance-oriented, where the goals are to really create connections between the children, to create dance performances that are beautiful and engaging for audiences, and to kind of rack the focus of what dance can and should look like, who can participate, what is beautiful. And really to create relationships with our children. Yeah. So we're coming up on our first workshop of the year, and it's our 10th anniversary. We started DREAM in 2014.
Dr. Agnes, let me bring you in and talk a little bit about this here, because when you talk about physical therapy, particularly for the utilization of dance, right? How important, how impactful is that in the lives of the young people that you're serving?
That's such a great question, because where we started was at PS 199 on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which was built, I don't know if anybody knows this, it was built as a barrier-free school. So it was built with the intention that children with a wide variety of disabilities could attend the school. And so we started there, and then when National Dance Institute found their beautiful home up in Harlem, we knew that we had to start a program. And so physical therapy really comes into play because we sort of explore together what the possibilities are. So I'm not sure what anybody's envisioning when they're envisioning a dance class, but we can tell you firsthand that it blows any barriers. It blows past any assumptions or judgments or anything like that. We've had children who have participated who can only use their eyebrows and drive a power wheelchair with just one finger, to children who are, as one boy describes himself, I'm that autistic kid. So we have a wide range of abilities in one room at one time, learning each other, dancing together. It is the power of the arts.
And when we talk about the power of the arts, I mean, at the same time, while it's the power of the arts, it's also empowering, right? It's empowering to those who are actually taking part. Can you share a little bit with me about that empowerment? Because when we have persons who may have, disabilities, and those who are challenged, the opportunity to actually do this and to be on the stage, that's pretty major.
So I'll start it, maybe Kay, and then I'll toss it right to you. But I just finished. I'm the poster child for It's Never Too Late, because I just finished my doctorate, and the entire dissertation was on exactly that. What is it within a dance class that empowers the individual, both with and without disabilities, to sort of explore and go past what their own expectations often are? So I have to say that I think what I've learned most is that it's a reframing. It's a reframing for every single person in the room of what's possible. And so one of the parents described it as boundless participation. And that was participating at and beyond the child's what they expected they could do, and really feeling that empowerment. We had one family talk about how the way that they were treated and the way that they interacted with other individuals was now their expectation of how they should be treated beyond the walls of the studio. And to us, I know that there's nothing more important.
Yeah. And Kay, can you give us a little insight as to, when we look at this program, it's transcended through the years. And I mean, there's been some great evolution and some things that have happened. Walk us through a little bit of the timeline of how you see this transcend through the course of the years.
Wow. When we first started the program, NDI has always been inclusive. We've had for 48 years programs for children who are wheelchair users and programs for children who are deaf and hard of hearing. Everyone is welcome. But specifically with the DREAM project, when we started it, I think we thought that the focus would really be on serving children with a wide range of disabilities, but we would be focusing on physical goals and skills that we might develop through that. And what we have found is that the children become lifelong friends, And Aggie said before that they learn each other. We've really learned to start choreography and movement ideas from what we see the children able to do and what we feel like they can achieve, and then translate. We call it translations. So we have a kind of unison. We'll start with one movement, and each partnership might have a slightly different version of that movement. And it creates something very, very beautiful together. So in terms of empowering and the evolution of that, I think a lot of our practice has developed to really tap into the children's creativity and to tap into what they're bringing into the room and shape and refine and amplify that to create choreography that nobody's ever seen before.
Let's talk for a moment about COVID, because I know COVID had a tremendous impact, as we know, across New York City, what those numbers look like, and the fact that so many people were forced to stay home. We're talking about movement and coming out of a situation where we were forced to stay home. And talk to me about that kind of impact, what it's been like since COVID for the both of you. And I'll start first with Dr. Agnes.
I think what it's so funny when you talk to children and families, especially those that are medically fragile. COVID was an equalizer in many ways, you know, where the rest of the world got to sort of see where their lives have been, where their lives need to be as far as being extra cautious, particularly for children who are, you know, as I said, medically fragile. And what we noticed was that, you know, instantly, I mean, we went live with our Dream Live program in April. So sort of the world shut down in March, and within a month, we were offering opportunities for children and their families to move, to participate, to feel like they were still part of the community because of the outreach from children and families. And so I think one of the things that really sort of astounded us was that one of the participants actually came to us reclined in her bed. And so that was the position that she needed to be in, and she participated multiple times in our remote programming. And so, you know, it sort of pulls back the curtain a little bit to sort of say, hey, wait, there's more. And so, you know, the impact of COVID and where we're heading is I know Kay and I feel really strongly, and Aileen Barry, the other co-founder as well, we're not done yet. This isn't finished. 10 years is not the finish line. It's sort of the where to next. And that is going to come from the community and from the children and families.
So, Kay, what's the criteria for somebody who wants to be a part of the program?
If they have a body and they want to dance, they are welcome to join us.
That's like real simple. Like, just come on.
Come on. Yeah, come on down and join us. Yeah.
And what we talk, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one of the cool things is they come back again and again. We also thought that, you know, children would come for one time, and we're finding the joy of the 10th anniversary is that many are coming back. And we also have participants who've been, I think we have a couple of participants who've been to every Dream workshop that we've had over the 10 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so for people who want to come and we'll get more information out at the end of the segment so that way they can be able to do that. When you look at what you've been able to accomplish so far, the things that you've been able to accomplish, the lives that you've been able to impact, what comes to mind about the work that you do? And Dr. Agnes, you just talked about completing your doctorate in this particular field. It's got to give you some gas in your tank to not just to be doing it, but to also see the impact of what you're doing.
Yeah, you know, so much so that I teach over at Stony Brook University on Long Island, and we hosted, Kay and Aileen were part of it as well. We hosted a conference called Inclusion Done Right, exclamation point. And that was from a talk that Kay, Aileen, and I gave, for the Kennedy Center. And one of the topics was talking about inclusion. And I started off by asking, does everybody believe in inclusion? And everybody's hand went up except for one individual who I'm sort of presuming was part of the deaf or hard of hearing community. And through the sign language interpreter, I'm paraphrasing, said, yes, if it's done right. And so I think when we're sort of looking at the whole big picture and lessons learned, the lessons learned are that we as a society and sort of as people who are in the community providing these programs that we love and adore and are part of our passion and our DNA, we have to ensure that we are welcoming anybody that wants to be there, and that we're welcoming them in a way that services and doesn't harm them, and really does welcome them and really models what inclusion can and should be.
Yeah. Well, Kay, Dr. Agnes, got to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for being with us and continue the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, inclusion elevates everyone.
Hey, I believe it. You made me a believer. Listen, I want to tell our viewers, if you want more information, visit the website at nationaldance.org. And then, of course, follow them on social media at National Dance Institute. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back more open coming up right after this.
I remember when the Bronx did not really have a media outlet properly representing the people of the Bronx.
BronxNet provides for the community by being a community where people can be empowered to share their voices.
We are in a really great place technologically. We've got all the resources that we need to be effective.
Whether it's through cameras, storytelling, editing, we have provided those services for 30 years.
BronxNet's mission is to be a voice for the community.
To educate, to inform, and to inspire.
And you can be a part of it. We've built studios for you.
And welcome back. In honor of Black History Month, the African Diaspora's International Film Festival is thrilled to showcase a dynamic film lineup delving into the diverse history and vibrant cultures of Africa and the global African diaspora. Here now to share more, we've got the director of Mr. Emancipation. I should say it again, Mr. Emancipation. The Walter Perry story. We got Preston Chase with us. And Preston, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Daren.
All righty, for somebody who's not so familiar with the Walter Perry story, tell me.
Well, number one is just like, it was, a lot of my elders actually told me about this story, right? We had a different type of emancipation. I should start off by social activist and comedian Dick Gregory said that the largest Juneteenth festival was never in America. Mm-hmm. It was in Windsor, Canada. And so we're like, so we, so my uncle staged this from 1936 until 1967, which would be deemed the largest Black celebration in North America. So he would have the significance of the event. It's like he would double the population of Windsor, which was 100,000. And I should say Windsor, Ontario is south of Detroit. The Black community, like in the Windsor area that I grew up, it was about an 8-block radius. We are all descendants of like the Underground Railroad and Black United Empire Loyalists. But the Black community provided jobs for those of the Motown generation, and for Black Americans, they flocked from like the Midwestern states, but also it allowed like a lot of the who's who of Black America at that time, like Reverend Borders came, Dr. Benjamin Mays came, a young Martin Luther Jr. came, and at the event he got a chance to see his "I Have a Dream" speech in motion as well.
You know, when you talk about where you're located there in Canada, that's right there on the Canadian border. You've got Michigan right there, which is what you talk about, that influx of people coming from, you know, Canada, Michigan right there. The impact of the emancipation in both the United States and then also in Canada. Share with me that.
Oh, the impact, it was huge. The event itself is, like I said, it's like when a lot of the speakers came over, they were never afraid about being lynched. They were actually just could express themselves as to what was going on in the United States at the time. And we're so interconnected. I liken our community to that, like from the Black Panther Wakanda, which is but we're Canada, because people forget that we've existed. We're the 2% that actually escaped slavery. We still carry on a lot of the traditions we got from slavery, like the type of food we eat, soul food. And this event itself was really like probably the original family reunion. It was just huge. It's like the essence of it. So.
Yeah, and when we tell the Walter Perry story, in the face of racism, there was a lot of racism that he encountered. Give us some history there.
Well, the city actually, just because anything that's effective, I like to call it the Obama effect. Like you have this, a social structure which doesn't include us, which always tries to actually take over, destroy something. And that's exactly what happened was the event got sabotaged where they burnt down the grandstand. And still to this day, no one knew, or no one knows who actually ended up burning it down. And then for the event itself, they would charge him all the time, even though he was making millions of dollars for the city of Windsor. It didn't matter. They were still going to bring it down. And then what finally destroyed it was the Detroit riots. How a riot in the United States affected Canada, we're still trying to figure that out as well.
Wow. And so if people want to know, this will be a part of a film festival and the African Diaspora International Film Festival. For people who want to check out this movie, how do they go about doing that?
They can actually just go online. It is playing, I believe, the Saturday at 8:30, the 24th. That is part of Columbia University. But yeah, and it's a really it's going to shock a lot of people when you see it. Is because there's just so many individuals from the United States are connected. Like, I mean, there are a lot of Motown artists that got their start there as well.
And so for people who really are watching and they're getting an understanding as to some of the history that, from which we came, it is historical to know because we know a lot like now. We talk about Galveston. We talk about the Juneteenth celebration taking place out in Galveston, and now subsequently Juneteenth's taking place all across the United States. But I don't think that people really knew that Windsor, Canada was the site where really the largest Juneteenth was actually being celebrated.
Yeah, well, in that area, too, and I bring up in the film, Ebony Magazine wrote in an article, I think it was in the early 70s, and it said the first Black Power town was was North Buxton. My own genealogy, the second battle leading up to the Civil War, I'm a descendant of William Parker, which happened in 1851 during the Christiana riots. Someone's master was killed, and my grandparents, I'll just say, were sent up and stayed with their good friend, who was Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass convinced them to actually leave the United States and go to Canada because had they been charged with treason, they would have got killed. You're going to see Spider Jones in there. His family was around during the Nate Turner riots in 1831. Elise Harding Davis, you'll see that she's a historian, white hair. She is a descendant of Robert E. Lee. And one thing I like to tell people is that because we are like the lost tribe, but we represent the 2% that escape, and we're connected to 98% of Black American history easily.
Yeah. And when we talk about Mr. Walter Perry, I mean, obviously, such an impactful, guy that, and man, I should say, that comes to a place where everybody wants to come up and, be a part of this. And we talked a little bit about earlier about some of the notable names that really wanted to be a part and came through to that area.
Oh, you had Jack Johnson, you had Jesse Owens, you had the Supremes, you had a whole, a slew of Motown artists, like Martha Reeves. You can go on and on and on and on. What I find, my uncle's story is so compelling is because how many people, it doesn't matter black or white, how many, own peacocks? And I explain why I own peacocks. And then also, I found out after completing the film, my uncle was offered 25 honorary doctorates from colleges and universities in the United States, but he turned them down. Why? Is because his younger brother, Uncle Roy, was a dentist, and he felt that 2 Dr. Perrys in our community would cause too much confusion.
Wow. A great story there, and hopefully people will be able to check it out and find out more about the life of Walter Perry. Certainly a great figure when we talk about African-American history. Thank you so much for being with us, Preston, and sharing.
Great, and thank you for having me so much.
Hey,
thank you, Daren.
Thank you. All right, listen, now, if you want more information about the Walter Perry story, you can visit the website, nyadiff.org. Don't go anywhere. We got more Open coming up right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
And we are back. The Bronx Economic Development Corporation advocates for the borough's business community. Now, the corporation recently introduced the BX Factor 10K Small Business Challenge. It aims to support Bronx businesses that have historically struggled to secure capital. And here now, sharing more, we got the Director of Outreach at Bronx Economic Development Corporation, Marshall Strawbridge. And Marshall, pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we know that small business is really the lifeblood, really, of America, and right here, of course, in New York City, and more particularly here in the borough of the Bronx. When we look at small businesses, we know there's a lot of challenges, particularly coming out of COVID. We know that some people did not get that PPP that everybody else got, and some businesses were actually forced to close. But you guys have really done a great job of really helping to keep business be open.
Absolutely. So the announcement of the BX Factor comes shortly after State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli issued a report on the small business community in the South Bronx in particular. And one of the most interesting insights from that report was how well the Bronx maintained the growth that we saw from around 2011 to 2020 and kept that growth even through the pandemic. And that's not to say that there weren't challenges that businesses faced. And we are actively working to support businesses in terms of recovery. But I think that over the past decade plus, the small business community has demonstrated a tremendous amount of resilience here in the Bronx.
Yeah, and to that credit, having that resilience to be able to keep their doors open, to be sustainable, and to kind of like really navigate through some of the most, arguably the most challenging time in many of our lives, right? But here we are today, and still opportunities are coming up for people to really get to come up, to become stronger. So talk to us about this 10K challenge.
Absolutely. So a marquee initiative that the Bronx CDC has been touting for the past year has been the $10 million loan fund that we launched last year in July. And while we're getting loans out the door and helping businesses through that way, some businesses aren't really in the position to take out a loan at the moment. And it's something that we've gotten feedback that we've gotten from a number of folks that we've interacted with. And so what this is an opportunity for us to do is to provide a no strings attached cash award to small businesses in the Bronx, and to do so in a way that not only gets them the money, but it's also going to be a showcase of the businesses that we have here. And so we're getting applications from all sorts of businesses, whether it's cutting edge, leading edge tech startups to generations old family-owned bakeries to artisan clothes makers working out of the Bronx Create Hub. So it's really an opportunity to celebrate the diversity and strength of the small business community that we have here.
So if I'm a small business watching this, say, listen, I really, this may be up my alley. What am I doing, and what are the requirements?
So the requirements are very simple. It's a Bronx-based business, so if your business receives its mail in the Bronx, have fewer than 100 employees, and are currently operating, you qualify for this. And so the way the application process works is you can go to bxcdc.org. It's on our homepage, submit a short application. And from there, we're going to select 5 finalists who will participate in a pitch competition in Bronx Week, where we'll have business leaders from the Bronx service judges to select a winner. Now, the grand prize is $10,000, but everyone will walk away with a cash prize, each of those 5 finalists.
Wow. So for a business $10,000 may not sound like a whole lot, but come on, let's be honest. For a small business, it could be life changing.
Right. So in the context of a $10 million loan fund, it's not a ton of money. But when I tell you the businesses that I speak with, the ideas that they have in terms of what they would do with the money, it's a significant contribution to their organization.
Yeah, because I mean, some people talk about sustainability, things that they want to do. What are some of the things you're hearing?
Whether it's replacing equipment or adding equipment to build out capacity, or putting money towards securing a space. So it runs the gamut. Storefront improvement. So they're really creative ideas that folks are coming up with in terms of how they would use the money to grow the work that their business can do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one facet of the work that you guys do in terms of really helping small businesses be able to push throughout the course of the whole year long. When you talk about how you've helped out throughout the course of your role in small business, how would you define it?
Sure. So my role at Bronx EDC is to make businesses aware of the programs that we have to offer and how they can take advantage of them, and also connecting them to broader resources that are available to small businesses that are available from the city, state, and federal programs as well. So we've had a couple of really significant wins on that front. One in particular that I want to highlight is the Storefront Improvement Program on 161st Street. We just awarded 12 grants of around $50,000 to $75,000 for storefront improvement on the Yankee Stadium corridor, and you're going to start seeing the transformation of that area before the season starts.
That's awesome. And when we talk about having a transformation like that, that doesn't just do something for that business owner, right? That does something for the community.
Right, right. It creates a more welcoming, a more energized community, and a place where not only that business will thrive, but other businesses can come in as well and do well.
Yeah. When you hear about the challenges that small businesses have, one of the things I hear all the time is, in having conversation, is that access to capital.
Yep.
And access to resources, right?
Yep.
How are you managing being able to bridge that gap? Because we know the access to resources is huge, and getting those answers and their hands on something can sometimes seem like a long, long stretch.
Yes. So a lot of times there is a technical assistance need. And so we lean very heavily on our partners in this building at the Small Business Development Center here at Lehman College, the Business Solutions Center on Fordham Road. And so we have a working relationship with those institutions to figure out what's the space between where the businesses are now and loan readiness, communicating that to those technical assistance providers, and then having them come back once they are at the starting line to do a deal.
Yeah. Let me go back to the top before I get out of here. What's the deadline for somebody who's trying to get that 10K?
The deadline is March 15th.
All right. Marshall, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Pleasure.
Listen, now, if you want more information, visit the website bxedc.org/bx-factor. Well, I want to let you know we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast on Optimum Channel 67 or Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. And if you want a brand new episode of Open, come on back Friday. My girl, Rena Valentine, will talk about arts, entertainment, and then some. As for me, this wraps up this episode. I am Daren Jaime telling you, make sure to keep this channel wide open. Say take care. God bless. See you soon.